Well, this is a bit of a weird one, not least of which in terms of timing, because as you'll hear in the already recorded last two special projects tunes coming out later on today for the week, I didn't think we were going to already have silhouettes, because we never do. It's always a Saturday or a Sunday, never a Friday, so that's a bit weird, but also far more strange is the three vehicles in question. For this one, I didn't really have too much time to put in some guesses myself, so pretty much left it down to the Discord and then checked in to see what the consensus we had was. What we've whittled it down to, thanks to an apparent leak, I believe, as far as what the three new events are going to be as well, a Japanese-oriented one, European 600-point-oriented one, that kind of stuff, that does lean in to these predictions. One of them, I think plenty of people will enjoy. The other two are very strange. One of them is just kind of boring, to be honest, and we'll get to that in a second, and one of them is certainly very odd. I get it from the meme appeal point of view, and if this does turn out to be correct, I think a lot of people are going to be kind of scratching their heads at this one. And of course, there's no point in beating around the bush, because you already saw it in the thumbnail. We reckon it's a Renault Kangoo, which is such a weird choice if that turns out to be true. It sounds crazy and you think, no, it can't be that, but if you look side by side with the older generation, it does line up. The roof rails, the antenna on the roof, the shape of the car, the shape of the bonnet, the shape of the lights, it does match. Even the length of the vehicle in comparison to its width, it does match a Renault Kangoo. My initial thought based on the bonnet and the headlight shape, at least from the outline, was a Mark V Golf GTI, to be honest, which was in the leaked list, but the longer you look, that doesn't really match. This, though, for some weird reason, does. So if it turns out to be a Renault Kangoo, or maybe a Renault van of some kind that's a similar kind of vibe, well, again, it's another meme car like the Ambulance and the High Ace and various others, but still a very weird choice. If it gets something like a Clio V6 swap or a Clio RS, then sure, another Kangoo is semi-popular, in real life at least here in the UK, for having crazy motor swaps, so sure, you could have it as a little sleeper car, but it's still, you've got to admit, a very, very random choice to have in the game. And as we know from the world of comedy, random doesn't necessarily always equal good. The second one, though, is more down the straight up boring route. It's pretty obviously a Mazda, you can immediately see that. I wasn't sure entirely which one. Again, the consensus seems to be a Mazda CX30. That one, I guess, could be kind of a rival to the equally strange choice of the Toyota from last month's update. But again, who really cares? Who was asking for this car? It's normal, I guess, and many of us, myself included, do bemoan the loss of the era of Gran Turismo having more real cars, so sure, but I don't know, it doesn't quite hit in the same way that it used to. Maybe it's the kinds of real-world car being next to useless now compared to how pretty good the ones used to be. Certainly the JDM stuff, whereas now with a Toyota CVT over here or a hybrid over there, they just don't feel quite as useful, but that's by the by. The third one will probably interest the most people. In fact, for many of you, you'll probably only be interested in the third one if these three predictions do turn out to be true, because it appears to be the newer shape, around 2018 or so, Aston Martin Vantage. Of course, newer shape Astons are a bit of a rarity in Gran Turismo. They do tend to be at least a few years behind in terms of adding new Astons to the game, and of course with Aston Martin, every era is a good era, but this newer one I think will have more than a few people who are happy to see it. For me, I ironically don't really care too much about their latest cars. I find them less appealing and less attractive, more muscle car rather than elegant, but sure, it will be a quick car, you know that, and if it does turn out to be these three, well, it'll be ripe for some interesting and wacky tune setups, that's for sure. We will have to, of course, as always, see if some kind of new track shows up with it. It would simultaneously be a really good way of saving this from being a really disappointing update for many people, but also a very strange choice of update to add a track with. So as always, I'm going to encourage you not to get your hopes up, but again, as always, I have to reiterate, there were at least a couple of other tracks which we were expecting for this game, and from the leaked circuits, a couple of them were added, so clearly there is some truth to that. We'll have to wait and see, of course, though, and with the game being as old as it is now, over 3 years at this point, you have to wonder how many new tracks are really going to be added. I could see maybe one more at some point, but it would surprise me if we get much more than that. We'll have to see, though. Of course, we will get the trailer, I would guess, as usual on Wednesday, the update itself on Thursday of next week, so stick around for that one. Of course, I will also be covering the latest update in TDU Solar Crown, probably on Monday, so stick around for that one if you're interested, and for now, thanks for watching.